summarize. We have 7 proofs.
We'll start with 7 proofs.
7 proofs that wisdom is the set-apart spirit.
And this is high-level stuff we're going to present and then go deeper after them.
Okay, so the first proof is, so everyone knows the synoptic gospels where Matthew, Mark, and Luke are pretty much telling the same story with different discrepancies. So everyone knows when, the passage, when they deliver you up, don't worry about what you will say, the set-apart spirit will speak for you. So first verse is Mark 13:11, and when they lead you away and deliver you up, do not worry beforehand what you are to say. But whatever is given you in that hour, speak that. For it is not you who are speaking, but the set-apart spirit. Just want to highlight again, when they deliver you up, don't worry about what to say. Set-apart spirit will speak for you in Mark. In Matthew 10:19 through 20. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak. For it shall be given to you in that hour what you shall speak. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of the Father speaking in you. So Matthew, same passage, deliver you up, don't worry about what to speak. He didn't go with set apart, but he said the Spirit of your Father will speak in you. And Luke 21:12 through 15. But before all this, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up, same thing, to the congregations and prisons, being brought before sovereigns and rulers for my name's sake. And it shall turn out to you for a witness. Therefore, resolve in your hearts not to premeditate on what to answer. For I shall give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to refute or resist. So, Mark, set-apart spirit speaking for you when they deliver you up. Matthew, the Spirit of your Father is speaking for you when they deliver you up. Luke doesn't say that. Luke says wisdom is speaking for you, and that they will not be able to refute or resist. So we just wanted to make that our proof 1, that synoptic gospels, they're all talking about the same thing. Luke is saying wisdom is the one speaking for you. Our claim is wisdom is the set-apart spirit.
Yes, and with that proof, we'll have further follow-up after we go through the 7 that's going to give even more scriptures that will support that. And on proof number 2, we have here the set-apart spirit and wisdom. They were at the beginning of creation. 2 examples. In Genesis 1:2, and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And we read in Sirach 24:5, where wisdom is speaking here, I, which is wisdom, I alone compassed the circuit of heaven and walked in the bottom of the deep. So we see a tie-in here of this reference at the beginning, and we're going to go deeper into what that one single verse is saying here about the beginning of creation, who was there, and we will tie in that it was wisdom, and then other places we see that is the Spirit of God. So this way it'll be another proof that these two are the same in one.
Okay. The third proof. So we're just going to go on a few things where it's the set-apart spirit and wisdom talking about the same thing. So very similar to the other proofs. So Christians will say at Pentecost, the Spirit came down, right? So Acts 2:17, and it shall be in the last days, says Elohim, that I shall pour out my Spirit in all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Okay, so what we want to focus on is Elohim. It's our claim that it's multiple, pouring out the Spirit. We go to Proverbs 1. Wisdom calls aloud outside. She raises her voice in the broad places. At the head of the noisy streets she cries out. At the openings of the gates, in the city she speaks her words. How long, you simple ones, would you love simplicity? And shall scoffers delight in their scoffing? And fools hate knowledge? Turn at my reproof. See, I pour out my Spirit on you. I make my words known to you. So again, we're just cross-referencing. Wisdom is speaking. She's the one pouring out the Spirit on people. And that's exactly what happened on Pentecost, that Elohim pours out my Spirit. We're going to prove that we think wisdom is part of Elohim. And they're both pouring out the Spirit, and that Spirit is wisdom. The next set is Luke 11:49. For this reason also, the wisdom of God said, so she's speaking right here, I will send them to prophets and apostles, and some of them they will kill, and they will persecute. What we want to point out here is wisdom speaking, and she's being sent to the prophets and apostles. Now, Acts 28:25. And when they did not agree with one another, they began leaving. After Paul had spoken one parting word, the Holy Spirit rightly spoke through Isaiah the prophet to your fathers. We're basically saying here that wisdom is being sent to the prophets. Paul saying the Holy Spirit speaks to the prophets. That's just another cross-reference where we believe wisdom is the Holy Spirit. And the last one on this proof is, we're not going to read it all, but we encourage you to read 1 Corinthians 2. Paul basically goes over, so now that you have the understanding of what we're trying to say, read it with that mindset and read 1 Corinthians 2. It's basically all about set-apart spirit and the wisdom of God above. But we're just going to pull out 3 passages on that chapter. Chapter 2, 4 through 7. And my word and my preaching were not with persuasive words of man's wisdom, but in the demonstration of the Spirit and of power, in order that your belief should not be in the wisdom of men, but in the power of Elohim. Yet we speak wisdom among those who are perfect, and not the wisdom of this age, nor of the rulers of this age, that are being brought to naught. But we speak the wisdom of Elohim, which was hidden in a secret, and which Elohim ordained before the ages of our esteem. So there's many things we want to point out here. The first one is the difference between spirit and the power. We're going to go into way more detail about that, but we just want to show you guys that there's a difference between the power of Elohim and the spirit. As you see, the wisdom of men, but in the power of Elohim. So that's a separate entity. Okay, so now, yet we speak wisdom who are perfect. Wisdom, since we believe it's the Holy Spirit, it's perfect. If you are walking in the Spirit, you are walking perfectly as the law states. So we just want to point that out. And then finally, the wisdom of Elohim. We're equating wisdom as part of that Elohim. And look, it just says it's a secret. And it was ordained before the ages. We're going to talk way more about that in the coming slides.
All right, so the next proof that we're going to present here is in regards to the set-apart spirit and wisdom have similar attributes, such as helper, comforter, counselor, teacher. And we're going to look at the scriptures on that to show it so. John 14:26, but the helper, the set-apart spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, shall teach you all and remind you of all that I said to you. Okay? John 14:16. I will pray to the Father, and he will give you another counselor that may be with you forever. So here we're showing, the set-apart spirit's the helper. She teaches and is a counselor. Now we're going to look at Wisdom of Solomon 8:9. Therefore, I purpose to take her, and this is speaking about wisdom, her to be to me, to live with me, knowing that she would be a counselor of good things and a comfort in care and grief. So we see wisdom here also is being personified with counselor and comforter, as we see in the one above with John on counselor. 1 Corinthians 2:12 through 13, and this is continuing from what Michael was just speaking about with 1 Corinthians 2. Read the whole chapter on that one. And we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit that is from Elohim, in order to know that Elohim has favorably given us, which we also speak, not in words which man's wisdom teaches, but which the set-apart Spirit teaches, comparing spiritual matters with spiritual matters. So here, the set-apart Spirit is teaching. So here's some attributes that that are being assigned to the set-apart Spirit and also wisdom. And I'll get to the wisdom ones here now. With Proverbs 8:7 through 8. And this is wisdom speaking again here in Proverbs 8. For my mouth speaks truth, and wrongness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness, none of them twisted or crooked. Here wisdom speaks, and she speaks truth. The wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 22. For wisdom, which is the worker of all things, taught me. For in her is an understanding spirit holy, one only, manifold, subtle, lively, clear, undefiled, plain, not subject to hurt, loving the thing that is good, quick, which cannot be hindered, ready to do good. Here, wisdom is a teacher. It teaches him, has understanding. Her understanding is holy,
Holy Spirit.
in spirit. So it's correlating wisdom with the spirit, holy, and a teacher, as Wisdom of Solomon is talking about. So it's tying in this teacher, this speaking of truth, with what we just read above in John, as a helper, a teacher, a counselor, etc. So we're tying those in. So these are things that we have to examine and review and look at. And there's many more. These are just some of the top ones that we're pulling out here that correlate the set apart spirit with wisdom in the same characteristics that are being spoken of. And lastly, I want to touch point on this relationship with spirit and man in Genesis 2:18. And Yahweh Elohim said, "It is not good for man to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him as his counterpart." So we see man is being given a helper, a female. And here we know that the set apart spirit is the helper from Yah. So as we look into this deeper, you're going to see that when it's referencing the helper, this is Yah's helper to help us. As man has a helper from female, Yah has a helper, the set apart spirit. So a wife is a helper to a husband, and as you saw in John 14:26, the helper of the Father is being sent.
Okay, proof 5. Everyone knows that the set apart spirit, Holy Spirit, has fruits. We're going to prove that wisdom is the one who has fruits. So Galatians 5:22 through 23. And for this particular verse, we're using the Wycliffe version because it actually shows 12 fruits of the Spirit. Most versions only show 9, and we'll prove why we chose that one. So Galatians 5:22 through 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faith, self-control, modesty, chastity. Against such there is no law. Again, we're using the Wycliffe because it has 12. The reason why we chose that one is because Revelation 22, 1 through 2. And he showed me a river of water of life, clear as crystal, coming from the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. In the middle of the street and on either side of the river was the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree for the healing of the nations. Again, we wanted to link it with the fruits of the Spirit, with the fruits in heaven, in the throne in the New Jerusalem, 12 fruits. We also wanted to highlight the throne of Elohim. We're saying it's multiple, and of the Lamb, so they're separate. And then we want to highlight the tree of life. And we're about to show you that wisdom is that tree of life. So Proverbs 3:18, she, wisdom, is a tree of life to those taking hold of her, and blessed are all who retain her. So what we're trying to show here is that wisdom is that tree of life. Wisdom is the one with the 12 fruits. She's the one in the garden, or she's the one in the paradise. And blessed are all who retain her. It's our opinion that we will be reborn of her spirit. So we will be blessed when we retain her and we get fully resurrected and placed in this paradise. It's amazing.
Yeah, Michael, I just wanted to add that I think it's something to point out in Revelation 22, verse 1 and 2, where we see the coming from the throne of Elohim that you just pointed out, I think is really key. The throne of Elohim, that's plural, and then of the end of the Lamb, and they're separating that, the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. So you know, as a throne, the king has the throne there, and then next to him is the queen. And then obviously you have the prince who is being given authority and authorship from the king in that manner. So if you think of it that way, it puts a interesting dynamic on the thought process of what's going on, and as we tie these scriptures in and how to look at this.
Excellent. So basically we've shown that the set apart spirit has fruits, as you know. We've notated that the tree of life and wisdom is known as the tree of life. We've equated that. We've equated wisdom with having 12 fruits, it's in paradise. Now we will show you that wisdom is the only one with fruits. So Sirach 1:16, To fear the Lord is fullness of wisdom and fills men with her fruits. So it's my opinion, when you are walking fully in the Holy Spirit, you will have fruits of the Spirit. We probably only have a little bit right now. Everybody's not doing all the fruits of the Spirit because we are not full of it yet. We will be during the resurrection. Proverbs 8:19, my wisdom, speaking, my fruit is better than gold. Yeah, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. Again, all we're trying to do here is wisdom has fruits. James 3:17, but the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits. Remember the mercy part for later too. And good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. We just want to notate that right before this, it talks about the wisdom from below. James 3:14 through 15 is bitter jealousy, selfish ambition, don't boast, don't lie. Again, we're just trying to point out that wisdom has fruits and it's from above. Proverbs 1:8. Now, my son, listen to your father's instructions and don't forsake your mother's teaching. We want to highlight the fruits of the Torah. So she is teaching. Again, that equates with the set apart spirit, which was what Rob was talking about last slide. 2 Baruch 32:1. You, however, if you prepare your minds to sow in them the fruits of the Torah, Yahuwah will protect you in the time in which Yahuwah the Mighty One shall shake the entire creation. Again, there's Torah, there's fruits of the Torah. And we're trying to equate that with wisdom, which is the mother's teaching. That's what we're kind of basically saying here. Anything else you want to add to that, Rob?
Yeah, and I think you tied all of that in with the wisdom, the fruits of the Torah, the
Tree of life.
was teaching, tree of life, all of these aspects. And we know in scriptures that there's a lot of these similitude concepts that are spoken of, and we just have to pull these together. And as we pull these together, we start getting a better, I think, clear understanding of what is going on here.
Proof 6.
All right, so this one is going to be about the set apart spirit and wisdom only dwells in the house of Israel because we are grafted into the house of Israel. All right, so let's look at these and examine it. In Sirach 24:8, then the creator of all things gave me, and this is wisdom speaking again here, gave me a commandment. The creator gave of all things me a commandment, wisdom. And he that created me made my tabernacle to rest and said, let your tabernacle be in Jacob and your inheritance in Israel. So remember in Sirach 24:5, remember we talked about she circled the deep. So she was there at the beginning. She was there, from the creator, and the creator gave her this commandment to tabernacle in Jacob and your inheritance in Israel. And we'll tie in some more scriptures to that, speaking to that, because that's very key, that only wisdom was given a command to do so.
So I just want to say that everybody who is alive has the breath of Yah. Not everybody has the Holy Spirit. So that's what we're trying to equate here, is wisdom is the Holy Spirit, and only Israel, the elect, have her.
Very good. So now Matthew 15:24, but he, this is Yahusha saying, Yahusha answered, I wasn't sent to anyone but the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Think about that. Yeshua is saying, I was sent to the lost house of Israel. So we have to think about this. People of Israel, not the land of Israel we're talking about here. He's talking about the people of Israel, the lost sheep, the scattered sheep. He was sent after them. And we know wisdom tabernacles in Israel. Yahusha is only coming back for the lost sheep. We see that and we know that. Another parallel equating wisdom with Israel is in Daniel. Okay, Michael is known as the angel protector of Israel, and let's look at those scriptures. So Daniel 12:1 says, "At that time, Michael will stand up, the great prince who stands for the children of your people." See also Daniel 10, another example of Michael's being a protector of Israel too. That's another good one to read on Michael. And I want to compare regarding Michael in the Masoretic and Targum in Exodus 24:1. It's much more clear. in the Masoretic, he said to Moses, that's all it says is he said to Moses, come up to Yahweh, you and Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship from a distance. Now, in the Palestinian Targum, it says for Exodus 24:1, and Michael, so this is the he, and Michael, the prince of wisdom. So he's the angel, the protector of Israel and of wisdom.
Set apart people. He's the protector.
Set apart the elect. Said to Moshe on the 7th day of the month, come up before the Lord, thou and Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship at a distance. So we see here that wisdom dwells in Israel, and Yahusha was came for the house of Israel. And this was wisdom's commandment. I mean, this was Yah, the creator, told wisdom, this is what he wants. And his son came for the house of Israel also. It's pretty awesome.
And the seventh and final proof. So I've done a lot of studies besides this, and I've noticed, and I'm sure you guys have as well, so many sevens within the Bible. But the difference is we're starting to realize that there's 7 with 1 being set apart. And we just want to show you some patterns here. So as everybody knows, there's 7 days in the week. Shabbat is the set apart day, right? You can still do godly things, great things, his will on Monday. But for those who keep it on Saturday, that's the set apart day. So there's 7 with 1 set apart. We look in the 7 churches of Revelation. Philadelphia, at least in our opinion, is the set apart church. Had nothing wrong with it, brotherly love. Smyrna is a great church too, had nothing wrong with it as well, but still had to go through tribulation. But we're trying to say there's 7 with 1 set apart, that being Philadelphia. 7 deacons in the New Testament. It's our opinion that Philip is the set apart deacon. He was the one who listened to what the Spirit said, baptized a eunuch, and was raptured or a harpazo to a different location. I would call that set apart. Stephen was also a great deacon. Take nothing away from him, but we're just trying to show you that we believe Philip is set apart. It's no coincidence, I don't think, that it's similar to Philadelphia. And Enoch is 7th from Adam, so he was taken up. So again, 7, and then Enoch was set apart and taken up. And then finally, probably at the beginning, you're like, hey, Mike and Rob, we know there's 7 spirits. You can't just equate it to 1. So what we're trying to say here is Isaiah 11, there's the spirit of Yahuwah. It's our opinion that that's the breath of life. Wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, knowledge, and the fear. It's our opinion, and we hope we've made a decent case so far that wisdom is that set apart spirit. All the other spirits are great, can do great things. It's not the set apart spirit. So basically, these are our 7 proofs, and we are so not done yet, guys. We have so much to dig deeper on specific topics, but we hope that we set a great foundation of these 7 proofs that wisdom is set apart spirit.
Yeah, and what we're about to go dig deeper into this, and I like what Michael said here on the spirit, 7 spirits, that wisdom being the set apart one, and we just read that the only spirit produces fruit is wisdom. So
and dwells in Israel.
In Israel, that's set apart.
One more thing. We just want to point out that there's things called Adamic literature and other stuff like that. There's things called wisdom literature. So we think it's very important. Wisdom is very important to Yah. There's not literature on might. There's not literature on knowledge, counsel. It's wisdom that's set apart. Okay.